Video shown of a woman's interaction with Metro Police during a call for mental health helps draw the attention of activists tonight. The woman at the center of the video is talking about what happened yesterday. WHAS11 Night Team's Taylor Woods and photojournalist Aspen Hester covered the community activists who are raising the issues tonight. Taylor, what'd they say?
Kenny is sharing her story of how LMPD officers responded to her inside her home while she was battling a mental health crisis. She hopes this will bring more awareness about the responses to mental health and resources for people to use. We have blurred the faces of the officers who responded because at this time they aren't under investigation.
And my friend is here. These officers are trying to break into my home. And my friend is here to take my children and me to the hospital.
Facebook Live video shows 3 Metro Police officers at Kabiria Kenny's door this week on Wednesday after she says someone called police to check on her mental health. One officer with a hand on the door, Kenny refusing to let them in, saying she doesn't feel safe. Nearly 2 minutes later, an officer from behind pushes the door open, throwing Kenny to the ground.
Well, I saw 2 cars.
A day after the incident, Kenny and a group of activists are addressing their concerns surrounding the response to mental health calls.
I am grateful to be standing here right now.
Kabiria Kenny says she's been battling depression and the actions of the officers caused her even more emotional distress that has left trauma for her and her children.
They had both of their arms on my wrists. I have knots on my arms.
After being taken to U of L hospital by police, Kenny says she just learned about the deflection program that launched in 2022. It provides crisis triage workers to cases when a 911 dispatcher senses a mental health or behavioral health issue and no violence. Those workers can offer emotional support, de-escalating mental health crisis.
I just learned that also you can ask for a yellow EMS when there is a mental health crisis. Why are we sending 911 to people's doors who are already mentally distraught?
Kenny is a District 3 resident under Councilwoman Shamika Parrish-Wright, who reached out to the Metro Police Deputy Chief Steve Healy, who's trying to find answers.
What I saw it hurt me.
Parrish-Wright shared the 988 number available statewide to Kentuckians in mental distress.
I immediately thought of the deflection program.
Kenny and others hope this brings awareness and a better approach when responding to a mental health crisis.
What we want to see is compassion.
And we asked LMPD for further details about this incident, like the type of call officers were responding to. In a statement, they told us they were monitoring the situation. And if you or anyone you know is having a mental health crisis, you can contact the Reflection team at 502-574-711. In studio, Taylor Woods, WHAS 11 Night Team on your side.
Taylor, thank you very much. More news here tonight. Metro Police detectives say DNA evidence helped them make an arrest in a recent sexual assault case. Police arrested this man, Christopher Thompson, for sexual assault and robbery in a connection with an incident on Yazoo Street, that's in southwest Jefferson County, in July. Police say Thompson was eventually connected to the case through DNA. The department uses a third-party lab run by a private company for testing now, costing the city $1.9 million a year. But it allows them to get those results back between 6 and 13 weeks. If they had been using the Kentucky State Lab, as had been done in the past, to analyze the DNA, Sergeant Zane Stewart says even in a best-case scenario, they might still be waiting for the results instead of making an arrest.
The quickest we might have gotten rapid kickback in 5 to 6 months, generally looking at 12 to 18 months.
Speaking for myself, that's sometimes the most rewarding part of our job is calling the victim and letting them know that this person's now behind bars and they can sleep well at night.
Detective Eric Goldschmidt there says the technology is advanced enough for even a small touch to give them the DNA they need to identify somebody, but that preserving it and reporting the crime immediately is the next important step. The development in Bardstown today in the Crystal Rogers investigation. Steve Lawson, the third man arrested in her disappearance, was told he's going to have to wait to see if a judge will lower his bond. Lawson was arrested back on December 8th, accused of conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with evidence. Today, he was in court asking a judge to lower his bond from its current $500,000. Senior reporter Isaiah Kim Martinez and photojournalist Jessica Farley report from Nelson County this afternoon.
It was our first in-person look at Steve Lawson since he was arrested in connection to Crystal Rogers' death. He sat in the courtroom, quiet, mostly looking down. Sitting in the pews watching, Sherry Ballard, at times emotional, her granddaughter Tori, and Crystal's grandfather Till Ballard. In direct comments to the judge, Lawson's attorney, Ted Lavitt, argued his client has fully cooperated with Kentucky State Police, giving them any testimony they've asked for in an agreement to be immune from prosecution.
They had their way with my client. We stayed until the end every time.
But Special Prosecutor Shane Young telling the judge the $500,000 bond is appropriate given the severity of the charges. Judge Charles Sims will sit on the comments made and decide whether to grant Lavitt's request to reduce Lawson's bond to $20,000.
Probably the next 5 days, okay? Yes.
Only Lavitt answered questions from reporters after the hearing.
But you had said your client was a person of interest and a target since 2015. Can you reiterate?
Well, that's my understanding, but I can tell you that he has been a target, and because, number one, he was a part-time former employee of the person indicted for murder.
Lavitt revealed Steve Lawson was badly struggling with alcoholism when Crystal went missing. So naturally, Lavitt was asked if that could have clouded Lawson's memory when giving his account of what he witnessed from that time.
I think he's doing the best he can. And when he couldn't remember something, the Commonwealth was all over him attempting to grab it out of his skull.
Lawson escorted out the way he came in. The Ballard family hoping for continued decisive action in this case. Isaiah Kim Martinez, WHAS 11 Night Team on your side.
Steve Lawson is one of 3 charged in the Crystal Rogers case so far. His son, Joseph Lawson, is expected to be in court tomorrow, facing the same charges as his dad. We will be there again covering that hearing in Bardstown tomorrow. Then there's Brooks Houck, who was Crystal Rogers' boyfriend when she disappeared and named the chief suspect long ago. He is scheduled to be in court on February 8th on charges of murder and tampering with physical evidence. He's being held still on that huge bond of $10 million. Here in Kentucky, about a dozen new laws hit the books on January 1st, including one that taxes electric vehicles in the state. Drivers of electric or hybrid vehicles will now have to pay an annual ownership fee since they don't currently pay a gasoline tax for the vehicles. EV owners will pay $120, while the hybrid owners will pay $60 every year. Another portion of the bill also charges a tax for all electric vehicle chargers. One group we spoke with today says they're concerned that the new law will deter places from providing those charging stations.
And now, if anybody wants to put a charger in, they're going to have to try to pay for an expensive charger that's going to have to measure electricity, and they're going to have to pay a tax, even though they give away the electricity for free.
The new EV tax will go to the Kentucky Road Fund, which is typically funded through the Kentucky gasoline tax. It builds new roadways and repairs existing Kentucky roads. In fact, our story about all of the new laws going into effect has been the #1 read story on WHAS11.com for the past several days. Head there to check it out. All new right now on the night team. The Louisville Metro Council met for the first time this year to elect its leadership for 2024. Councilmember Marcus Winkler, who represents a large part of eastern Jefferson County, will once again serve as the Metro Council president. He keeps the position he assumed last year, taking over for David James. Democrats re-elected Councilmember Paula McCraney to serve as chair of the Majority Caucus for 2024. Meantime, the Republicans unanimously selected Kevin Kramer as the Minority Caucus chair. Kramer takes over for Anthony Piagentini, who was recently found guilty of ethics violations. A charging committee has recommended that Piagentini be removed from office. Those hearings have not yet been scheduled. And new tonight, one of the original Metro Council members after the city and county merged is saying so long. Madonna Flood will not seek re-election in 2024. The Democrat was a founding member of the Louisville Metro Council. She was first elected in 2002. She's now serving her 5th term. In a statement, she highlighted some of her proudest accomplishments: the smoking ban ordinance, the fairness ordinance, and code enforcement revisions.